Welcome back to the Resilient Entrepreneur Podcast number 13. And I know some of you might think, ooh, unlucky 13, but my mother has always told me over the years, 13 is her lucky number, so that's what I'm going with. So this podcast, along with the next one, is going to be filled with a lot of questions for you. And the question for Resilient Entrepreneur Podcast number 13 is it time for you to step away? And that's really a question that you need to ask yourself at times when you're really just not getting the result that you're looking for. Sometimes we need to ask that question when things tend to get a little emotionally charged, and I'll put it that way. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, my own experience this past weekend, I was working on 2 or 3 different projects over the weekend, responsible adult stuff around the house, taking care of things that you're supposed to do around your house to keep things up. And, there were 2 or 3 of them that were just not working out the way they were supposed to. And one of them, I think I was getting to the point that if I didn't step away from this project, I was probably going to do something I would regret later. And ultimately, that's not going to end up doing what I need done, which is fixing something and doing it so I can move on to the next project. I would have just created yet another project for myself. And in talking to clients and friends and so forth, I run into people all the time that have similar types of issues where we're working on something and we're not getting the result that we want, and we get more and more frustrated. And I think sometimes it may come from the fact that we keep approaching the problem the same way. And I don't really believe, and I think you'd agree with me on this, that we don't have a lot of clarity when we get a little emotionally charged. And that, when I say emotionally charged, I mean we get frustrated, we get mad, we get angry, we might get sad. And, really when we get any of those types of emotions, we're not thinking clearly. We're not in problem-solving mode. We're probably more focused on the fact that there's a problem as opposed to, I just need to fix it. It could be anything as simple as changing a light bulb to we're having frustrations with a team member, or we're having frustrations with a computer, anything. And really with this, we just need to take a step back. I'm sure you were told when you were a kid, count to 10. You probably heard it as an adult, count to 10. Well, there's some merit to that. And even with the one project for myself over the weekend, I stepped away and went away for a couple hours. And I was really getting to the point where I was just so frustrated something bad was going to happen. And when I came back, I kid you not, I had it fixed in like 5 minutes. That was it. I didn't even remember why it wasn't working before. In fact, I stood there in amazement and scratched my head and thought, what was the problem before? I didn't even understand where I was struggling, not fixing this. And then magically it's done. And I'm sure you have situations where either you've done the same thing, or where maybe you could recognize that there's times where we need to do the same thing, where we just need to step away. And there's times, as I said, it could be something as simple as changing a light bulb. It could be something as simple as a door handle's not working. Or it could be a little bit more complex, where this is something where it's a team member to team member or just an individual team member type issue. And we need to maybe just step away. And sometimes it's good for us. Sometimes it's good for both parties. And really what we're trying to do is come back with a cool head, a problem-solving, opportunistic head, meaning we're looking for the opportunity in this. How can we fix this as opposed to being focused on the problem? And sometimes if the counting to 10 or stepping away is not fixing it, part of stepping away sometimes is finding someone else. And it could be a coworker. It could be someone else in the same profession. It could be someone like myself. It could be anyone within your inner circle. And when you find someone else, again, this is at a point where you're saying, I just need to hand this off to someone else, or I need someone else's input or objective view on this. And sometimes it's because they've already fixed the same type of issue in the past, which, what's the harm in that? If they've already fixed something very similar to this in the past, what's the issue with asking for help? And interestingly enough, I think most people, if you really ask them, they really do want to help other people. So, and I'm guessing if push came to shove, if we asked you if you liked helping people, I'm guessing the answer to that is yes as well. So there's really nothing wrong with asking for help. And if they're able to help you with it, that's great. One and done. But the other point in them helping you is they're not emotionally involved in this thing. Here's something I broke. I can't fix it. Help me out. And again, in a few minutes, they might be able to help you and put you on the right path. If it's something where it's an ongoing issue, maybe they help you figure out how to avoid revisiting the same issue in the future. That'd be a huge bonus. And another real benefit to asking for some help, if you're not the one to get it fixed, is they don't have the history with it. So sometimes, again, with that objective viewpoint, they're looking at it from a standpoint of just, here's the problem. They're not also including, if this is a team member to team member type issue, they're not including history. They're not including egos. They're not including relationships. None of the other stuff that comes out because of human-to-human interaction, none of that gets brought into this for the problem-solving part of it, because most times you can make it super simple. I mean, let's face it, when you have issues like a team member who doesn't show up to work on time, well, that's easy. Start showing up to work on time. But we complicate it with so many other things. Someone says, well, I can't do that because our customers don't like that. Well, is that the individual's issue or is that the customer's issue? Usually it's the individual's viewpoint of those things, or it's the individual's viewpoint of the discomfort of change. So many of these things really have super simple answers, but it's the personal side of things that complicates it. And that's where an objective viewpoint really, really does come into play. So really, the big takeaway from this podcast is the question of when you really need to ask yourself or stop yourself and say, is this the time when I need to step away? Because that's a time where you step away, you can look at the big picture, you can decompress, remove all emotion, and you can reapproach it from your own standpoint, from an objective standpoint, a problem-solving and opportunistic standpoint. And at that point, many times you're going to fix it. You're going to make it better. You're going to improve it, whatever it is that you're trying to do. But if not, that's the point at which you stop. Stop trying to fix something that the way you're doing it right now, if we keep approaching it with the same tool or the same toolbox, then if we're not getting a different result, it's time to stop. Put this thing on hold, hit the pause button, and reach out for help. And again, it might be someone within your inner circle. It might be someone who's more of a colleague. It might be someone like myself. But one way or another, if you want a different result, you have to step away just to get the clarity or find someone else who's going to help you get that clarity. So that, my friends, is Resilient Entrepreneur Podcast number 13, Lucky 13. Hopefully this will be a lucky one for you. And I hope you liked the previous one on attitude. I've got another one coming up very shortly that is all about your superpower. More questions for you.